Hi friends, today in this lecture we are going to learn another important part of patient safety, and that is called error disclosure and error reporting. So the bottom line here is that when error occurs, it is very important that we learn from those errors. There's no way that we are going to get better. We are not going to have the information that we need to redesign systems if we are not able to study ways in which we are going to fail. So when you study those ways that you are going to fail, then you can make your systems better to prevent errors, right? In past, many victims of medical errors never even learned that a mistake occurred simply because the error was not disclosed, right? And there were a lot of reasons for this. Healthcare had traditionally shied away from discussing those errors with patients, and there were fears of litigation and malpractice, professional embarrassment, and it's very uncomfortable to have that type of conversation with your patient that you or a member of your team made a mistake that somehow impacts them, right? So now the first priority when it comes to error disclosure after an event which causes a patient's harm, of course, is to care for the patient's medical needs. Now, when disclosing the nature of an error, obviously we want to be factual. We want to let the patient know this error happened, what occurred, how it happened, and how it impacts them. Right? Studies have actually shown that patients and families also want to hear an apology, and many states now have enacted legislation that simply saying to a patient or a family that you are sorry or offering an apology, it can't be used against that clinician in court. And again, I think this is a very humanistic, natural thing. And if we have done something wrong that results in harm, the right thing to do is offer that apology to patient, right? Patients also want to know what is being done to prevent the error from happening to someone else in the future. And there have been studies that shown that one of the leading causes for patients actually going forward with malpractice was that they honestly thought that nothing was being done to change the system so that this would not happen to someone else. And their malpractice, their litigation was a means in which they were trying to, prompt the systems to change. So I think if we take lead in this, certainly we will be addressing patients' concerns and using this as an opportunity for an institution to learn and to prevent things from happening in the future. There's absolutely no role for covering up an error or withholding information for a patient or family. It is completely unethical. It portrays professional standards. We have to realize that we have a responsibility of honesty and transparency to our patients. And again, studies have demonstrated that a timely and sincere apology may actually reduce the likelihood of a lawsuit, right? Now, in terms of who discloses this information, usually it's the most senior physician responsible for the care of the patient and the person who's most familiar with the case, right? And it is important that error disclosures contain three elements. One, again, is an accurate description of the events and how these events impacts the patients. Two, a sincere apology which shows care and compassion. And then three, assurance that appropriate steps are being taken to prevent these adverse events from happening again to another patient in the future. And again, these are the things that the patients are looking for, uh, they want to hear. And I think, again, it clearly is the right thing for us to do professionally, right? Now, reporting is different. Error disclosure is more patient facing, whereas reporting is more systems facing, right? So we disclose the error to the patient, but we report it to our systems, right? And what reporting does is it allows for these errors to be studied so that systems based improvements can be made to help prevent errors like this from happening in the future. It is absolutely essential for error prevention, and we cannot learn if we don't have this information. So when we report these errors, it provides opportunities to improve our process of care, right? Because we learn from failures. Now, it's very important that we want to encourage reporting of errors. So the reporting process must be safe, right? So individuals who report these incidents or self identity that have been involved in a medical error can't feel that they will be punished or suffer from some kind of ill effect. Or what's going to happen is that people just won't report these things and we will miss opportunities to learn. So this fear of punitive retaliation or other negative consequences really will be an impediment to error reporting. And a lot of systems have made it that the identities of the reporters are not disclosed so people can report anonymously. Another potential barrier to reporting is the belief that no corrective action will be taken, or by having a really complicated burdensome system of reporting, so you want to make a streamline, you want to make it very easier for people to report these errors, and there should be some kind of follow up that's publicly announced so people know that when they're reporting these events that steps are actually being taken. Now, another barrier to reporting is the failure to recognize that the error actually occurred. So here's an example. There is a cardiologist who accidentally orders the wrong dose of medication during a cardiac cath. The nurse who's worked with him for several years knows the correct dose and he makes the appropriate adjustment. And because of his intervention, because of the nurse intervention, no harm has occurred to the patient. But it would be wrong not to realize that an error had happened. I mean, there again, this is a near miss. The hazard occurred, but one of the barriers were in place. But this near miss really should be reported. So we could learn from that and develop a system, hopefully, that would prevent this incident happening again in the future. Because maybe the next time around, that nurse won't be there and that adjustment won't be made in the future, and the next patient could get harmed due to this, right? So this is why it is very important for healthcare professionals to be educated about medical error identification, including the importance of near misses. Now, what's different is that near misses, although they should be reported to the system, they don't generally need to be disclosed to the patient. I mean, there's been no harm to the patient. It's not necessarily important to inform that something almost happened, right? But it would be important to make sure that it's reported to the system so it can be studied, because what is a near miss today could be a fatal error tomorrow. And of interest, studies of medical errors actually shown that near misses likely outnumber actual adverse events. So more opportunities to learn from near misses than actual adverse events. So, in summary, it's really important to have a culture that promotes error reporting and error analysis, right? That's a way in which that we can enhance healthcare system. Every error represents an opportunity to improve the process, right? This is the end of my lecture. If you like this lecture, please do share this lecture with your friends and do subscribe to my channel. We meet in the next lecture with a new concept. Till then, stay tuned. Have a nice day.